Fan of Super Bowl props, but not in Las Vegas for the big game? Hosting a Super Bowl party and want to keep everyone entertained? WagerTalk has you covered with our Super Bowl party prop sheet. The concept is simple and is easy for anyone to participate and follow. First, download and print out our Super Bowl 56 party prop sheet. Pass out to everyone at your Super Bowl party and determine the entry fee, if any, and payouts. All they have to do is circle their choices for each prop. And since almost all of them are 50-50, it does not require someone to be a huge football fan or understand sports betting to participate. To get your free Super Bowl party prop sheet, just go to wt.buzz/props and follow us on Twitter at WagerTalk the day of the big game to get results in real time.
Well, happy Friday, everybody. Friday starts the weekend, and we are here to help make your weekend a profitable one through the prop betting markets. Joining me, as always, my fellow prop masters, Andrew McInnis from WagerTalk.com and Matt Josephs from SportsMemo.com. I am Andy Lang from WagerTalk.com. We are a week away from the Super Bowl, so we are going to jump in to some Super Bowl stats, and we'll get to our best bets later on the show. We're also going to do the propsies, which is our favorite regular season props. We have awards to give out to some players that did really, really well for us, and we're going to go over some touchdown and MVP props as well. So we got some good stuff for you. Let's jump right into some fun stats, and we'll go do our first Super Bowl edition of Fun Stats. Fun stat number one, the designation of home and away for the Super Bowl alternates every year. This year, the AFC gets to be the home team, which means the Rams will be playing in their home stadium as the away team. Fun stat number two, Tom Brady has more playoff wins with the Buccaneers than the Cowboys do in the last 25 years. Fun stat number three, the cost of a 30-second Super Bowl ad in 2000 was $2.4 million. This year, it is up to $6.5 million for one 30-second ad. Chuck Howley, the only Super Bowl MVP to come from the losing team way back when, and an average of 72 different footballs are used in the Super Bowl. The NFL produces 700,000 footballs a year, and 72 of them are used in the Super Bowl. And final Super Bowl stat, the Lions, Texans, Jaguars, and Browns, only four teams to never play in a Super Bowl. Let's bring in Matt Josephs. He sent me a really good fun stat, and in true Matt Josephs form, it obviously takes a dig at an individual. So, Matt, go ahead and let us know what your fun stat is.
Since 2010, NFL teams are 55-6 when leading by 10 points after 3 quarters in the postseason. Kyle Shanahan has 3 of those losses.
It's a perfect stat for you, Matt. It's prop laced, and you get to take a dig at Kyle Shanahan. It was made just specifically for you. So, and this one has been floating around on Twitter. If you haven't seen it, I do have to go over it. So, Desmond Bain on February 2nd, 2022. So the date is 2/2/22. All right. So Desmond Bain wears the jersey number 22. He shot 22.2% from the field. He had 2 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 2 fouls, 2 turnovers, and he made no 2-point shots. It's his second year in the league. His points, rebounds, and assists equaled 22, and his birthday is June 25th, which was 222 days prior to him playing on 2/2/22.
Wow.
Andrew, what was the parlay on that one?
yeah.
Probably plus 2/2/2/2.
That is cool.
That was an amazing one. So, all right, guys, we're gonna get into it. Andrew McInnis, I'll start with you. How has the last week been for you at WagerTalk.com?
You know, I went through my first little mini slump with the NHL. It was Splitsville a couple days in a row, a couple small losing days, and we got back in action. But I'll tell you what, for all the prop bettors out there, and hopefully we got a lot of huge prop fans watching this show, the action and volume has really picked up, Andy, in the prop market. It's gone pretty well. I hit a plus 245 goal scorer the other day. I'm hitting some good shots on goal markets, finding some really good situational spots for these. Revenge games have been huge. We've seen a lot of those recently, Andy, with the revenge games. You know, players playing their former teams, always working out pretty well. getting involved, dabbling in the college basketball markets, NBA props as well. So things are going pretty great. And, after that small little slump with the NHL, bounce back a little bit. Now we got the All-Star weekend coming up for the NHL, and then it resumes on Monday.
Great stuff, Andrew McInnis from WagerTalk.com. Matt Joseph, SportsMemo.com. Talk to us. I know you're doing well in college basketball. So talk to us about how everything's been going.
Yeah, 5-2 day last night in college basketball. Tried out a few new team totals to play, some teams to fade, and some of them worked out, some of them did not. But a 5-2 night, and look, we're starting to head towards March Madness. We're starting to get some more situations of teams playing each other a second time, so we're looking for some angles there. And of course, some of the teams that we've been betting on all along continue to score and continue to allow a ton of points. So that's always good when you're looking for trends. As we are February, it's about 5 weeks away from selections, 5 weeks away from championship week, and then 6 weeks away from Selection Sunday. Looking forward to that.
The dream would be is if Matt could find a way to play a kicking prop in college basketball. Like how many, if there's a kickball involved in it, it would mix Matt. You would be hitting 95% on those. I have no doubts. So, all right, guys, let's get into some Super Bowl props. I just want to touch briefly based on what we have up right now and how we want to attack Super Bowl props. So not all of the props have been released. Some of them are out. So Andrew, how do you attack Super Bowl props? We're about, 10 days away. What are you looking at right now? And what are you looking forward to with these props?
I'll tell you, first and foremost, I definitely don't change anything as far as my volume and approach goes because it's the big game and everybody talks about that. But I want to reiterate that big time because what has helped me with my prop betting this year and in years past is controlling my volume, controlling the risk. And because it is the big game, it is the Super Bowl. Everybody wants to get involved and kind of scatter the board. So look, if you want to jump in on picks early, that's definitely the way to go about it. I mean, especially if you like overs, some of these numbers are going to move, like we will discuss here on the show. But don't scatter the board. Don't think because it's the big game, you have to go ahead and put your whole bankroll at risk. I mean, you've worked so hard all season building up that prop bankroll. Be responsible with it. I wanted to say, Andy, and this might be kind of simplistic, was that go with what's worked for you. And last week, for example, play that I really liked was T. Higgins. I really thought we were going to see Jamar Chase kind of struggle, especially early on in that game, which did happen. I think very similar things could happen in this one. We can see a good number here on the secondary guy and a very long receiver like him. So, even looking at a guy like Cooper Kupp, I mean, they can't raise his number any higher. We did see some money come in, so on the under actually, so it did get a little bit lower. But I think right now, with all these crazy props that come out, everybody wants to overcomplicate things. They want to bet will there be a score in the first drive? What's heads or tails? All this funny stuff. I mean, obviously those two things don't really correlate, but you get my point. Keep things simple. Do what you would have done if this was a regular game. Don't go into this game thinking it's the Super Bowl. Go into this game thinking it's another football game. That's the way I think about it anyway.
Good stuff. Matt Joseph's coming to you. What's your mindset right now, and how do you like to attack Super Bowl props?
Well, I mean, I'll somewhat disagree with Andrew. I think we went through a long season, and I think if you want to take a bit of your profits and throw it on some crazy stuff, why not? I mean, we've made it through this whole season, and sometimes they hit. I mean, just the realistic thing is to put proper unit size on something like that. Like, there's going to be, I have an MVP that I like that I'm not going to throw full units on because it's probably not going to hit. But I mean, I'm going to take a shot on something. So the first thing I like to do for the Super Bowl is you got to kind of play it out in your head. I mean, before you even look at the props, before you even let the numbers influence you, you got to kind of play it out in your head, because if you have a certain thing that you think is going to happen in the Super Bowl, then you're going to bet your props correlated. If you look at the list and you're like, ooh, this looks good, but you don't think it's going to hit, then so that's why I sit there and I literally sit there in my head. I'm like, all right, so I think the score is going to be this. And I think that this guy's going to be really good. And I think this guy could score a touchdown. And that way, when I have a look at the game plan, I have a game plan when I look at the prop list. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, as Andrew said, and as we've said on this show plenty of times, if you like overs, bet them now. Because especially in the Super Bowl, people don't want to watch Super Bowl parties They don't want to go and be like, yeah, 2-yard gain, Joe Mixon, like, yeah, a negative gain. Like, so there's going to be a lot of betting early on in the overs. If you like the overs, bet them now. If you like the unders, wait until Super Bowl Sunday. That's when the real fun begins, and that's when these things are going to continue to go up. And so that's when you bet your unders is on Super Bowl Sunday. But yeah, I think you should have a little bit of fun with some of these wagers. Not the coin toss. Do not bet the coin toss. That one I definitely don't want you to do. Do not bet the coin toss. That's the most important thing. Guys, don't bet the coin toss.
Andy, do you mind if I step in for 1 sec?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just wanted to say, because last week I talked about it in my segment, was the in-game prop wagering. Talked about it in both NFL and NHL, but last week's gains for both of them, I mean, you really could have found some good opportunities. Jamar Chase was one of them. So to Matt's point, reiterating about waiting to get that better line, I'm not saying that, hey, if you're off by 1 or 2 points from the opener on a receiving prop, absolutely stay away, don't do anything with it. But there are those options now available. And before it used to be just like a couple books that were doing it. Now several books offer these, and it's not too hard to find the option. Last week I remember I think I got Jamar Chase like 53.5 in game. My buddy was mad because he had Jamar like 59.5 in game, and that ended up losing. And it's one of those things where you really can look towards getting these better lines and better numbers in game. And people think sometimes that in game people are chasing or they're just looking for a wager. But sometimes, to Matt's point, if you don't like the number you're getting, if you're getting it too late and it's too high for your liking, you really can make some money with these in-game prop betting.
Yeah, I would say from my perspective, I would caution people to look at regular season stats. I look more at playoff stats. It's a smaller sample size, but I think it's more indicative as what's going to be happening in the Super Bowl, because once you're in the playoffs, it's one and done. There's no reason to save anything. And so you see some guys that aren't getting as many looks in the playoffs that got looks in the regular season. It was like, well, we don't want to throw to our number one wide receiver too many times in week 13. So let's get some work to this other guy. But in the playoffs, you're going to be targeting your big guys. You're going to go down with those guys. So I would, one thing that I throw a little bit of caution to is paying too much attention to the regular season stats. So, and as to Matt's point, I have a play that's already uploaded and it's an over, and I jumped on it as soon as I saw it. I have some plays that I want to play under, and I'm going to wait. It may be even the day of that I will wait. I know what play I want to make, but I may wait all the way up until Super Bowl Sunday to play those. So, all right, guys, let's get into some specifics. Let's talk MVP odds and touchdown props. So, Matt, I'm going to come to you first. This is a market that you can get on now. I'm not sure how many or how much line movement we're going to have in some of these. Cooper Kupp is minus 190, minus 200 to score a touchdown. That is just crazy right now. The next is Mixon at minus 105, Cam Akers minus 110, and then you're moving up into the even and plus money with Jamar Chase, Beckham, T. Higgins for touchdown scores. So talk to us a little bit about what you're looking at, TD scores and possible MVPs.
Well, I mean, so when it comes to this, I really can't make too many touchdown wagers yet because I need to know about Uzama. I know that he's a long shot if he's going to play. And you kind of need to know about Tyler Higbee, too, because I think the tight end is going to represent some value here for whoever plays. And if it's Kendall Blanton, who starts, I mean, we saw last week, but we'll see, that he got a lot of love from Matt Stafford, and the Bengals aren't very good against the tight end. So maybe you do sprinkle a little bit on Kendall Blanton to score a touchdown now, hoping that, Higbee can't play in this game. And even if Higbee does, maybe Blanton goes and plays a little bit more. The guy I like for a sleeper for MVP, and unfortunately, I can't bet it here because in Virginia, we can't bet Super Bowl MVPs and stuff like that, which kind of sucks. But I think Von Miller is a real value. I mean, now look, I wouldn't put a whole unit on. I'd throw like a half a unit on a quarter unit because it's like 50-1 out there. But you look at this Bengals offensive line, it's a really bad offensive line. Von Miller's going to line up all over the place. If he has like a 2.5 sack, a fumble recovery, maybe even a touchdown, Von Miller has a shot to win the MVP. As I said, it's not the favorite. You got to do a lot to beat the quarterback. You got to do a lot to beat the wide receivers. But if there's a guy outside this list that could do it, I think Von Miller does. And if you could find a good value, throw like a quarter of a unit on it and see what happens.
He's done it before, and we've seen they will give defensive MVPs. It's tough. It's tough to do, but they can do it. So we've seen him do it before when Peyton was quarterback there. So Andrew, coming to you, touchdown props and MVPs. Your thoughts?
Well, we've talked all along this year, the three of us, kind of about risk management and what type of odds that we're willing to go for, right? And I've discussed it on the show about the NHL props. There was a guy in the NHL the other day minus 130 to get a goal, and people will tell me, why are you laying chalk with a goal scorer? I'd rather lay chalk with someone that actually scores than take a plus 300 with someone that's not going to score. And the reason why I bring that up is because, look, I'm not saying we can't catch somebody in the plus 225 range, the plus 250 range, the plus 300 range maybe, that could get a touchdown. What I am saying is that don't feel like you have to be that guy that posts the plus 400 ticket from a guy that hasn't scored a touchdown in 2.5 years just because you want that value. And that's what I'm really going to preach here. I mean, T. Higgins, I talked about him. You guys know I like him a lot, especially past couple of weeks here. He's plus 175 at one shop I've looked at. I felt like that was pretty good value there. I mean, look, let's be honest here. Cooper Kupp is minus 190. Andy, you bet UFC. We lay prices like that all the time in the UFC. How many weeks in a row has Cooper Kupp gotten the touchdown? How many games has he gotten a touchdown this season? To me, that doesn't really seem like that bad of odds to get a guy minus 190. But people will tell us that we're laying chalk. And that's not really a good thing. Well, I'll tell you what, you give me a UFC fighter at minus 190 that should be minus 225, I'm going to bet that person to win their fight. So, look, with these NFL touchdown scores, I'll try and, pick my battles. I'll try and find a few. I was even thinking Sony Michel at plus 240 could be a decent longer shot, just depending on how they run that game. As far as the Super Bowl MVP, I think that it's going to be Joe Burrow or Cooper Kupp. I know that might sound very simple to a lot of people, but I actually think we're getting a lot better odds than I expected on Cooper Kupp. And I truthfully think that, it's always the quarterbacks, it seems. Either way, that's the go-to. I mean, great stuff there from Matt about Von Miller. There's great value on that as well. But I truthfully think that if the Rams win this game, it's going to be another showcase from Cooper. And that's why I think it's going to be a keep it simple type of game. I'm not saying that he's going to, go for 3 touchdowns and have, 11 receptions, but he's going to be a key factor in the game. And I also think that as much as we don't want to really believe it, Andy, people will tie in stuff that they've seen all year, and they'll have the expectation of him. So if you want to tell me, hey, what's the reason the Rams won this weekend? Was it Stafford, or was it some great plays the Kupp made? And I'll say Kupp. So I think it's either going to be Burrow or Kupp that wins it.
To piggyback off that, Cooper Kupp's got an incredible story. Story about how he was, really down. So you have that. And yeah, obviously if Cooper Kupp is having a big game, you would think Stafford is, but what if Stafford throws for 2 interceptions? Yet throws for 2 touchdowns and Cooper Kupp catches both of them. You mentioned that touchdown prop and laying juice. Andrew, it's really interesting. I had this exact conversation with Nick Borman about golf, that with all these sports books, you're seeing a lot more plays and you're seeing a lot more like heavy favorites, but they're winning. And so I was like, why am I laying off these bets that are minus 180 that are cashing every single week? Like if they're winning, who cares what the odds are? So, and to your point, Cooper Kupp, he's got 4 touchdowns in 3 playoff games. He had 2 last week. So it might be a bargain. Just because it's juice doesn't mean it's not a value. As far as touchdown props, if you really like a guy like Cooper Kupp, you can grab him at 2 touchdowns at plus 250. I would point to, and Andrew, you touch on this, but I would look at Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, just because some of these props, if you look at Joe Burrow's touchdown prop, it's over 1.5 touchdowns, but it's minus 160. So the books are telling you he's going to throw 2, probably 3 touchdowns. And if so, you can grab Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Jamar Chase at even money, T. Higgins at plus 175. If he's going to throw 3 touchdowns or even 2, it's probably going to one of those guys, maybe both of them. So I would look at those. And as far as MVP, Matt, I actually really like your case for Von Miller. I think that's interesting. And the lack of Cincinnati's offensive line, they're going to have to double and triple team Aaron Donald, which means it's going to open up a lot. So the Von Miller certainly has value in that. So guys, let's really, we talked about TD props and Super Bowl MVPs. Let's just touch briefly on some specific player props that are out right now that may have caught your attention. Any thoughts if we want to jump on them now or wait or anything? So Matt, coming to you, any specific props? Kicker props are out already. So any receiving, rushing, quarterback, kicker props that caught your eye?
Well, and I'll just say something real quick to what you guys were just talking about. I'll be on the other end of the spectrum. I mean, you guys talk about the minus 180s, minus 190. I won't even look at those. But that's just my personal preference, because what happens if Cooper Kupp gets hurt early and then you laid minus 190 on what you thought was a sure thing? But that's, you guys just spoke on that. That's personal preference. And that's why, there's vanilla ice cream and chocolate ice cream and Rocky Road ice cream and all that stuff. Now I need ice cream. All right. So
now I'm hungry. Thanks a lot.
Exactly. Thank you. And you have all the ice as it is, Andy. I should give you something warm. Like, that's why there's hot chocolate with marshmallows and there's not marshmallows, whatever. The kicking props. I jumped to Evan McPherson. I apologize to Evan. I did not play his field goal prop last week. He still did it. And I feel terrible for getting off the kid in terms of not playing his prop once again. And look, this is where the key is for shopping around. I'm looking right now at a book. His over 1.5 field goals is minus 145, which usually is a little bit steep for me when it comes to a kicker prop, certainly. But I think they have such good confidence in the kid. Now, I'll say this. One of the 2 props that I actually did play was I played the Bengals to have the longer field goal. I mean, we saw Matt Gay go short last week on a field goal from 50-plus yards. We saw, he go short in the Tampa Bay game. I'll say this. I also think that I'm going to say this now. I think Evan McPherson kicks a 60-yard field goal in this game. So if there's a longest field goal kind of prop thing with regards to yards, I'm taking the over because I think McPherson bombs one. It's indoors, remember, and he's got the leg to make something long. So if there's some sort of prop of 50-plus, 60-plus, I think he makes over a 60-yard field goal. And this is coming from the kicking expert in props. So just remember that.
Number 1 kicking handicapper in the country, Matt Josephs, refusing to lay juice, but willing to lay juice if there's a kicker prop involved, apparently. Matt, did Matt Gay have an injury? I thought I remember him having an injury in warmups, and is that why he's leaving some of these short?
There's this thing on Twitter that people think he did, and I think that, Jordan Rodriguez. I'm sorry if I mispronounced her name, but she covers the team, and there was mention that maybe he pulled something 2 weeks ago in that Tampa Bay game. But why would you not sign somebody else, or why would you have him kick such long field goals? So I think there's something involved, but no one will actually confirm it.
I just looked it up, and what it says is that Al Michaels mentioned it during the broadcast that he sustained an injury, but then when they asked Sean McVay about it, he said he didn't know anything about it. So little murky there, but it would make sense with him leaving those kicks short. So Andrew, coming to you, any player props that have stood out or any thoughts this early?
Well, to be honest with you, Andy, I was really hoping that for 1 week I would get to be the guy that talked about field goal props for a second. But hey, obviously we have role players. No, I'm just joking. But I like exactly what Matt just mentioned there. I'm hopping on the bandwagon with the field goal props. I'm joining him on. And I saw DraftKings Matt's offering it at 1.5 minus 120 for the 1.5 field goals. And the funny thing is, I stayed off it last week. Because you can't beat KC without field goals or with field goals, I thought, but hey, I guess you can because they took enough. And I think the KC took one less field goal than they probably should have. And you guys all know what I'm talking about there. So the longest prop as well, I think was 46.5 that I saw, 45.5, something like that. So I like that as well. I feel like they're going to utilize him. I feel like as far as the game plan goes, there's not going to be any hesitancy to settle for field goals for the Bengals. They're going to want to get points up when they can. and keep things comfortable, and they can rely on him as well. They obviously trust in what he can do for them, and he's dripping confidence when he walks around the field. Odell Beckham Jr., he's somebody that I am already locking in. I'll just say that right now. I've talked about kind of, I don't know. I don't even know if it sounds right to say secondary guys, but I think everybody on the team is secondary to Cooper Kupp by all that to account. But look, an experienced guy, a guy hungry, a guy you can rely on, and someone that's really stepped up, not been with the team for too long, obviously, but he's someone that I feel like I can rely on, and we're getting a pretty good number there with him currently around 63.5, 64.5 yards. So that's one I do expect to move, and I do expect to see some money come in on it quite a bit. So I would lock the one in right now. But hey, Matt, I'm joining you, man. I'm on the Money McPherson bandwagon.
Good stuff. There is one running back prop that caught my eye. It's Joe Mixon, his rush attempts. They have it at 16.5. We saw what they did last week. First down. Those are like every first down, they just handed it right to Mixon. And I know the announcers were banging on him, and I know a lot of I thought it actually made sense. It was a way to keep the defensive line off of Joe Burrow for at least one play, and it set up some nice play action late in the game that proved to be effective. And with this defensive line of Los Angeles, who's way better than the defensive line of Kansas City, I could see a very similar strategy where first down, we're going to give the ball to Mixon, and yeah, it may set up 2nd and 8 or 2nd and 7s, but we need that first down to keep pressure off. We need to keep the defensive line at bay. We saw he got 21 carries last week. He broke one for 23 yards. So it moved his average up, but I thought he was really effective at just slowing down the defensive line at rushing Burrow. So I think they do the same thing and they run him right into the line. I think the 16.5 seems a little bit low. I think that one's going to make my card on rush attempts. So, all right, gentlemen, the time's come. We're going to do our own award show. This is the propsies. These are our favorite graphics department working overtime late last night in hours to get that up. So what we've done is we have each taken 2 categories and decided which were our favorites. So Matt Josephs from sportsmemo.com, I am coming to you. Give me your first category and your 2 nominees for your propsies.
It's weird. They found a home video of Tony Finn dancing in his bedroom or something before going to bed. So that's just really weird there. And I admire the pajama choice that Tony has there. Maybe he can comment on that a little bit later on. All right, I will do. As the kicking expert here, I'm going to go to the kicking prop, and I'm going to do the I get a kick out of you. So that way. And my runner-up here, we just talked about him. He's in the Super Bowl. His name is Evan McPherson. He calls kicks and he calls the end of games. He says they're moving on to new rounds the moment he walks out to the field. And we've seen it. This is the run that he's made with regards to multiple field goals the last bunch of games is pretty historic. And we're all hoping that he's going to do it once again in the Super Bowl. But Evan McPherson is the runner-up to the man. Look, I've said it all along. There's nobody in sports who does their position better. That's right, sports, who does their position better than the GOAT himself. And that's Justin Tucker. Like, I love Justin Tucker. And if I was to buy another football jersey, it would be a Justin Tucker jersey. He makes the long field goals. The Ravens settle for a bunch of field goals. And it's the guy I'm always looking to first on a Sunday when the props come up. What's the over 1.5 for the field goals? So Justin Tucker, I get a kick out of you.
Congratulations, Evan. Well done. Well done to the kicking props. All right, Andrew, coming to you. Give me one of your categories and your 2 winners for the propsies.
Yeah, so with the game evolving, with more mobile quarterbacks being required in this league, I chose to say QBs or RBs. And I took probably more rushing yard props than I ever have this year with quarterbacks. Let's give a round of applause for Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. Those 2 guys right there, both of them. Oh, my goodness. Sometimes you just can't tell if they're quarterbacks or running backs. with the amount of times that they leave the pocket and decide to run the football. So, hey, you want to bet passing yards with these two guys, or do you want to bet rushing yards? QBs or RBs, we're making some money with them.
Congratulations, Andrew. Well done on making some money on quarterbacks and the running. So 2 thumbs up for those guys. All right, I will go with. I come from a land down under. These are 2 guys who they were under machines. I will start with Jalen Hurts under his passing total. He had some big games early in the season, but then the Eagles just moved to a rushing attack, and the books didn't adjust. His attempts, completions, yards went way down. Starting with week 5, he went under 200 yards passing in 7 out of 8 games, never got over 300 yards. And after week 5, he never had over 20 completions in a game. Jalen Hurts under his passing props were fantastic. And then money man Zeke got all that money and was an under machine. After October 10th, he never rushed for over 70 yards until the last week when Philly rested everybody. He rushed for 45 yards and fewer. And then 7 games, the books kept his rushing total over that mark. He was splitting carries with Pollard. Despite the fact he had a knee injury, the Cowboys kept putting him out there. I didn't understand it. And then he finished with a bang in the postseason. 12 rushes for 31 yards against the 49ers in the game they get eliminated. Big year of unders for Zeke. So congratulations to Ezekiel Elliott and the winner, Jalen Hurts, under passing. So, Matt, coming to you, last category. What you got?
All right. This is the category called A Whole New World, the non-Little Mermaid edition. Just for those of you out there with kids who, when you hear A Whole New World, you think of The Little Mermaid. These are categories that I had previously never looked at and now have decided to add them to my repertoire. The runner-up here is the longest pass completion, and you see the white hairs on my head. It's because of the longest pass completion. It's a great prop. There are certain guys who just don't throw deep. Problem is with a bet like this that you could be winning for 3.5, 3 3/4 of a game, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, a guy uncorks one, a missed tackle, and you lose. You know, Mac Jones used to go under a bit. Big Ben with that noodle arm of his towards the end of his career, they went under their longest completion. So that was a prop I enjoyed adding. But of course, kicking guy, the grand prize winner of A Whole New World, are the field goal props. And look, I mean, I've even come up with a system here because people ask, well, why don't you bet the points? And I'm like, well, you need a certain amount of touchdowns to hit the points besides the field goals, so why not bet the field goals? And so, yes, I'm looking forward to carrying the moniker of field goal kicking king into our show next year when Prop It Up comes back for a 3rd season.
Amazing. Congratulations to the longest pass completion and the winner, field goal props for A Whole New World from Matt Josephs. Congratulations on becoming the nation's #1 field goal kicking handicapper. Any winning bet cashes, the money spends the same. Andrew, coming to you for your last category. What you got?
Well, Andy, in the spirit of Valentine's Day coming up, I thought I would, give a good title for this winner here. This is the You Complete Me Award, and the winners are Tom Brady and Derek Carr for their completions on the year. The completion prop with both these two, #1 and #5. Tom Brady averaged 29 completions per game this year. Derek Carr at 25 completions per game. Round of applause for these two gentlemen cashing me some tickets this year. Super excited with that. They complete me as far as my prop betting goes.
Well, they didn't make the Super Bowl, but they sure made the propsies. It's a really, really close second. So congratulations to Brady and Derek Carr on their completions. My last category, these are touchdown props. This category is called I Like It When You Touchdown There. And the runner-up is Jonathan Taylor. He had 18 rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving touchdowns. He scored in 12 out of his last 14 games, and he cashed his 2+ TD prop 5 times. Unfortunately, he did not score in the last game of the season against the Jags, so he couldn't play it in the postseason. But this was one of the better touchdown prop bets over the season. Slightly edging him out is James Conner, simply because the James Conner odds were much better. He played in 15 regular season games and 1 postseason game. He scored in 12 of them. He always had a great price on his prop because the books, for some reason, thought somebody else was going to run the ball in for the Cardinals. He cashed his 2+ TD prop 5 times. Incredible play for the season. And once we realized he was the unquestioned goal line back for the Cardinals, he became a cash cow. So congratulations to Jonathan Taylor and James Conner for their touchdown props. And that concludes the propsies for the 2021-2022 season. Great job, guys. Yes, graphics department, great job.
I actually love that. That was very well
so
done.
Good.
That is fun.
It's so good. All right, let's wrap up the show with some best bets. Let's give the people some actionable infotainment. We got some doozies. Matt, coming to you first for a college basketball play. What do you like?
I mean, for the people who follow me on Twitter, they know where we're going tonight. We're taking the team total over for Toledo, and it's once again, it's, depending upon the book you use, the number's slightly different, but I think they go over no matter what. I'm looking, they're 10-1 in MAC play right now. 9 of their 11 MAC games, they've scored 80 or more. They beat this Ball State team 83-70 at home earlier this month. They're number 1 or 2 in almost every offensive category when it comes to MAC play, and Ball State's defense is absolutely horrendous. That's good, and Ball State plays fast. Should be plenty of possessions in this one. We're going to ride our Rockets once again to another team total over victory, hopefully, on Friday.
Matt Josephs from sportsmemo.com, kicking prop expert extraordinaire, college basketball betting expert extraordinaire, loving Toledo. Andrew, coming to you. This is a true prop. Going with the NHL All-Star Weekend prop. Love this one. Talk to us about this bet you love.
Yeah, this could not be any more perfect for this show. And hey, we always say it, all cash is the same. NHL All-Star Weekend starts tonight, guys, and they have the fastest skater competition going tonight. Connor McDavid to be the fastest skater, plus 150. The value on that, I was completely shocked by this. He's also trying to break a record, and you guys know how that goes. People are trying to break some records here. He's trying to win this for the 4th time. Obviously, the record was 3 times before, and he's lost this before. He lost this to Matthew Barzal. Good news, Matthew Barzal is not playing or not competing in this event. The other guy that I'm worried about would be Dylan Larkin, but he's never defeated Connor McDavid in this. He won this a few short years ago. I expect McDavid, he's gotten faster every single year, first of all. I expect McDavid to win this. I recommend you guys get on it. All of our viewing audience watching this, get on it tonight on Friday. NHL All-Star Weekend. It's not just a weekend to, have a good time and watch these events. I make some money, and this is what the betting world is here. Connor McDavid at plus 150 to win this event as the fastest skater. Lock it in.
I enjoy how you casually mentioned that obviously the record was 3. Like, yes, we all know the record in the fastest skater competition, obviously. I'm going to go with an NBA prop. Matt Josephs will be proud of this one. Tyrese Maxey, who is winning over the hearts and souls of basketball fans and Philadelphia fans. I'm going to take him over 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He had the huge game when Joel Embiid sat out, and you worry about a letdown spot after, and he came back and had a really, really good game after that. He's gone over this total and obviously 2 straight, but also 5 out of 7. He gets a good matchup against the Mavericks, who have kind of been involved in some shootouts. They were a really good under team for a while, but their team totals and their game totals have been going up. Like the way Maxey's playing, you got Curry, who is questionable tonight. So if he's out, I think Maxey flies over this total. If he plays, I think he gets over just a little bit. Been really active for rebounding and assist. So that's going to be my best bet. Let's do a quick recap on our best bets for today. I'm going with Tyrese Maxey over 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Andrew McInnis, NHL All-Star Weekend, Connor McDavid, the fastest skater at plus 150, and Matt Josephs going to Old Faithful. Toledo team total over 81.5. So that is going to do it. Next week, it is our big show, Super Bowl weekend. We will be loaded with props and all kinds of things. Go check out Andrew McInnis on WagerTalk.com. Go check out Matt Josephs on sportsmemo.com. I am Andy Lang on WagerTalk.com. Have a great weekend. Let's gear up for a big week of Super Bowl props, and we will see you next week on the Super Bowl version of Prop It Up.
Fan of Super Bowl props, but not in Las Vegas for the big game? Hosting a Super Bowl party and want to keep everyone entertained? WagerTalk has you covered with our Super Bowl party prop sheet. The concept is simple and is easy for anyone to participate and follow. First, download and print out our Super Bowl 56 party prop sheet. Pass out to everyone at your Super Bowl party and determine the entry fee, if any, and payouts. All they have to do is circle their choices for each prop. And since almost all of them are 50-50, it does not require someone to be a huge football fan or understand sports betting to participate. To get your free Super Bowl party prop sheet, just go to wt.buzz/props and follow us on Twitter at WagerTalk the day of the big game to get results in real time.